Hi, guys, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Women in Nautica podcast. I'm very excited for this one. Today, I have Delphine Plan from the Beneteau group here with me on air. Delphine, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today, and welcome.
Hey, Anna. Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity and the invitation. Always very happy to support your incentives.
Thank you so much. Yes, you were also part of the Women in Nautica conference. We'll touch upon that a bit later, but very great to have you here. And I'm super excited because we have so many important topics which we are going to cover today. But maybe I'm sure everyone already knows you, but just for the start of the episode, as with everyone, could you give a brief introduction of yourself?
Of course. So I'm Delphine. I've been with Beneteau Group for close to 15 years. 1-5. Time flies
Wow.
already. Loving every single minute of it. I can't believe it's been over a decade already. And I'm as eager as once upon a time for what's to come next. So I've been with Groupe Beneteau for 15 years. I've always worked in purchasing. I'm a graduate of a British and a Chinese university. I'm a French national. Definitely from that, the world is my oyster generation, where we used to travel the world and study abroad and try and grasp the specifics of different cultures. I've always been passionate about purchasing because we are interfaces between the world of a company, a specific company, and the outside world represented by the stakeholders, most specifically the supplier panel and yeah, I'm happily leading a team of 25 members of a very dedicated purchasing community worldwide. And we are cooperating with a recurrent 550 suppliers with whom we are truly working in a cooperation fashion to try and grow and adapt to market fluctuations, to the world changing, and it's all very passionate.
Wow, I can only say impressive. I think it takes really a lot of focus and organization to run the purchasing department.
The
So,
team, the team is great. The team is great. And the
okay.
suppliers are very good as well. We have a catchphrase within the purchasing community. We like to say that we have the suppliers that we deserve. So when things go well, it is thanks to them and thanks to us. And when things go wrong, it is everybody's fault.
Well, I hope that the part of the team and also part of the suppliers is listening to this episode so they can also hear the words of praise. So, working in a globally renowned corporation, of course, it's a complex and dynamic background. Do you mind sharing some of the upsides and the downsides of working in such an environment?
Yes, of course. Well, indeed, because we count as one of the few large corporations within the recreational marine industry. This comes with, responsibility, which can be an advantage, but also a huge stake at times. So Beneteau Group in 2023 achieved a 1.6 billion euro turnover, and it's 8,000 of us. And we have an industrial footprint spread across several geographies. So we have our heart in Vendée, in the western coast of France on the Atlantic, but we're also set up in Poland, in Portugal, in Italy, in the US, and also in North Africa, in Tunisia. So, to a certain extent, we are looked upon as trendsetters because we produce so many boats, and the company is 140 years of age. And then, of course, we have the responsibility to onboard and to convince and to align our strategy with our suppliers through cooperation. But of course, this comes with a lot of responsibility. So the one word as a takeaway to your question, as an answer to your question, would that definitely be the sense of responsibility that we have upon our shoulders to guide, to not just lead, let's say, our company to achieve the targets and goals set by our top management, but also to try and guide and navigate the waters together with the supplier panel and the rest of the stakeholders to achieve the mission.
Indeed, and I think it also requires a lot of resilience. We faced different and challenging times from 2020 onwards, and I think 2025 and 26 will also be difficult. So, how do you manage to cope with market fluctuations?
For sure, adaptability and resilience are key. I don't know that 25 and 26 will be difficult. What I do know for sure is that they will be different. And if we take a peek at the rear view mirror and reflect upon the past, let's say 5 years, we've gone through so much already, whether it be COVID, whether it be a cyber attack, whether it be market boom, whether it be supply chain shenanigans, and we managed to pull through because we really put a lot of effort in doing it together. And yes, indeed, market is evolving. Sometimes it accelerates, sometimes it slows down. We're currently on a slow slope, but market is not just fluctuating in terms of quantity, it's also changing and evolving in terms of needs, the size of the boats that we are manufacturing, the equipment on board, the complexity, the destinations in which they are sailing. All of this is indeed constantly evolving, and thanks to the monitoring and vision of our top management, we managed to pull through together with the help of the suppliers. But indeed, it does take a lot of adaptability.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially with new trends and everything that's coming along. I mean, work conditions have changed certainly also in the years which you mentioned. And what I think is that everyone is slowly but surely turning their backs around to the conventional way of doing business. So, what do you think in terms of sustainability? How have the green trends impacted the work you do within purchasing? I mean, it's a specific division.
Absolutely. So sustainability is key for to comply first and foremost, because rules and regulations, especially here in Europe, are around the corner. But beyond the sheer rules and regulations, sustainability translates into durability. It means that you have to be able to pass the test of time and the lifespan of a product, the time scale in which it will evolve. Basically, the notion of time is indeed very much changing. And sustainability, having a business sustainable, truly means that it needs to be able to survive over time. And it's truly what we're working on in terms of our product. We're trying to make them future proof. And we're also working on several different stakes to try and extend their lifespan to a certain extent. We have over the past year bought back a lagoon, a sailing catamaran, and we have completely refreshed it, doing refit in one of our manufacturing facilities to resell it and be able to expand the duration of the after sales warranty, for instance. So you see, these incentives are indeed new incentives because we're very much aware of the fact that we have the responsibility as a 140-year-old company to make sure that the company is built to last at least for another 140 years to come. And frankly speaking, I think many brands, many fantastic and amazing brands leading their sectors are also very much conscious of this stake. If you take, for instance, the example of the car company Aston Martin, their warranty is called timeless. If you take a look at the watch company Patek Philippe, their catchphrase in one of their publicity campaign was to say that you don't own a Patek, you merely hold it for the next generation. So this idea that sustainability comes with a different approach to time, I think is indeed slowly translating within the way we approach our own business. And for sure, we're having to a certain extent to change a little bit the way we're used to conducting business with our stakeholders in that respect. But you know what, Anna? I think all of this, after all, is common sense. And if we are being reasonable and respectful of the environment, and the environment definitely is where our products evolve. Our products evolve at sea and at ocean. Water is indeed being strategic. It's all common sense to make sure that what we put to market lasts.
Indeed, and there's many follow-up questions I'd like to ask you based on your answer, but maybe coming back to the refurbished lagoon, I saw a lot of coverage on social media regarding that incentive. Do you also know what was the feedback from the market? So is there anything of the voice of the end customer or anyone else which you could share with us?
I'm afraid not yet, simply because, we operate on a timescale that is quite specific. The sailing season is now behind us, and I guess we will only be able to appreciate feedback after the newly refurbished yacht has sailed. So I'm afraid not yet, but we know that the incentive has definitely pleased and tickled because we have more boats coming for more refurbishment, but I can't say much more about that just yet.
Well, it's good to know that there's more coming and that the incentive really made an impact because this is something for the end customers who are environmentally conscious, but I also think it will impact other which are not and are yet to be. So I think that's a really good point. And you also mentioned about changing a bit the purchasing structure and strategy in the ways to making your products more long lasting. Of course, that requires focusing more on quality rather than on quantity. Is that a difficult task to achieve nowadays?
Well, I guess it all depends on the priorities that you set. You see, we have the chance, but it's also a challenge to be the manufacturer for many brands and many different ranges. The number of products that we develop, the number of products that we manufacture is absolutely huge. And thus, the different stakes, we have to adapt the priorities and the stakes per, let's say, market segment. And this is one of the main reasons why our organization has restructured itself over the course of the past year into dedicated business units. So we have a business unit dedicated to outboard boats, a business unit dedicated to sailing yachts, monohull, both monohull and catamarans alike, and a third business unit dedicated to motor yachting, because obviously we need to address different challenges, different clients, different stakes. And in order to do it, we needed to be more focused. So we're extremely lucky to have a global approach thanks to the widespread range of products that we are developing and manufacturing. But in order to be more precise, we also had the responsibility and the need to focus. And it's what we achieved through this reorganization. So it's difficult to give you a generic answer because, as you are aware, a boat is a complex product. A boat, basically, the best way, the most simple way, I guess, to give you an image would be to compare a boat to the sum of the complexity of a car, an automotive car, and a luxury home. And we are evolving in a difficult environment because the sea is salty and comes with its own challenges because it's widely unpredictable. And so there's not a one single answer that I can give. One thing for sure that I'm happy to share with you is that the suppliers are incredible because they did not expect for us to come and ask. They had, in anticipation, already worked on dedicated products that are more sustainable in as much as they are built in a greener fashion. They consume less energy whilst they're being used, and they are more recyclable. So these three elements truly are becoming key in the way we are selecting suppliers for the future. Historically, we used to say that purchasing was structured around three main topics. The first one was always economical performance. We wanted to go cheaper, let's say, or best cost. The second item was, of course, quality. And the third item was always lead time. So trying to get the best price for the best quality in the shortest possible span of time. Historically, over the course of the past 30 years, industrial purchasing has been structured around these three key elements. A fourth element coming into play, the sustainability element, is a bit of a revolution, but actually it's not so much a revolution as an evolution sponsored by common sense. Because ultimately, sustainable doesn't have to be more expensive. And this is why also at Groupe Beneteau we are strongly enticing suppliers to join the EcoVadis and make sure that they are being duly assessed, because the EcoVadis assessment is a great opportunity for suppliers to take a step back and analyze where they are indeed being extremely strong in terms of sustainability, and also where they can improve and ways of improvement. And so, yes, and I must say that the take rate is incredible. Over the span of just 18 months, we're very pleased because over 50% of our purchasing spend is now achieved with suppliers who have been duly assessed. So, it's not just because we asked, it's also because they were ready and they are already convinced that this is the way forward. And that's incredible.
I agree. It's good to hear that they're aware of the situation. And also, what you said, it must have been quite a hit to take sustainability as a fourth variable within the three already existing pillars of purchasing. And for sure, when the initial sustainability products came on the market, they were very different from the conventional ones we have. But nowadays, I agree with you that sustainable doesn't need to be more expensive or have a longer lead time because there has been time to optimize the processes. And sometimes
Absolutely. And optimization truly is a word that we are extremely fond of within the purchasing community.
and sometimes sustainable is also linked to local, so local support, the philosophy of local supply and local support. Do you see any changes there? Do you think it's achievable to rely on local support when it comes to sustainable products?
Absolutely. But again, there is no generic answer. It's very much linked to the type of commodity you are referring to. For some specific items, it is mandatory to go fetch internationally. And for some commodities, it is absolutely acceptable to fetch locally. And ultimately, the line that we draw no longer is defined solely through economics, through financial stakes. The line that we draw and the decisions that we take through our decision matrix truly takes into consideration also the transportation stakes, for instance. So absolutely, it is achievable. It's all about adaptability, it's all about optimization, and it's all about being pragmatic at the end of the day. If we must take the example of engines, for instance, I quite like the example of engines. We all know that there are a few leading engine manufacturers around the globe, none of whom are located in France. So, of course, we're having to go fetch the engines elsewhere. But nevertheless, these engine manufacturers are all absolutely aware and conscious of the impact that their product has in terms of carbon consumption and are all working very hard to improve their product. And it's truly what we're measuring. So, yes, to get back to your question, it is possible to source locally for some items. We're having to source internationally for other items, and it's all about optimizing the source and the lead and make sure that we get the best out of it in the long run.
Yeah, optimize and reflect and see where you can make better choices, and not only in terms of pricing and sustainability, but society as well. Because as we know, environment, sustainability, and economy are basically the three pillars of a new economic system that's approaching us.
And it's not just related to recreational marine or leisure marine. Absolutely not. It's the story of industrial companies, really. Low-cost country outsourcing was extremely famous 30 years ago. Reshoring is a word that was spread all over the media during COVID times when the supply chains basically broke. End of life management was also very popular once upon a time to ensure that customers would renew their purchase, whereas now the vocabulary is evolving a little bit. And now we like to talk about life cycle management because we understand that building more no longer makes sense from an environmental standpoint. So we're trying to expand the lifespan of our products. So you see, this industry, just like any other, is having to adapt.
Indeed. And I would like to go back a bit in your career. So, during your work, you worked on several purchasing strategies in different industries. How do they compare to the work you've done within the boating industry?
Well, ultimately, it all comes down to digging opportunities and building relationships. Squeezing to obtain short-term results is short-lived. And like we've been saying throughout this chat, time and the management of time truly is key to become relevant in terms of sustainability. So I would say that regardless of the industry, what really matters is the ability of a buyer to be curious and much aware of the environment, the microeconomical environment he's evolving in, and really grasp the stakes and be able to build, to detect and build long-term relationships with worthy suppliers.
Great insights on purchasing. Really, I could talk with you regarding this the whole day, but unfortunately, we have to move on to other things. So, as we mentioned in the beginning, you also joined as a speaker on the WIN conference, and luckily, you could join us in person in Zagreb. So, can you share your experience also regarding the networking? How was this for you?
What a fantastic event. It was an amazing experience, an amazing moment of interpersonal connection. I met some great people that I've been working beside without ever having the opportunity to interact with. The different discussions, the different panelists, everything. I mean, the organization behind the event was also absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait for edition number two. And I take the opportunity really to congratulate you, Anna, once more for the leadership and for having the guts, because it takes a lot of guts to take on such a project. You did great, and it was fantastic being part of it. Very proud to have been part of it. So thank you also for having me.
No, thank you for making the time and joining us. The program wouldn't be with the same wouldn't be the same without you on it. So yes, of course, the plans
Thank
are
you.
for the second edition, and this will come soon as a news what will be in the development. And you mentioned a bit in the beginning of the episode, but also picking at your LinkedIn account, we can see that you have a degree in Chinese language and history. So what impacted the choice apart from the world is my oyster mindset?
Well, I was always passionate about, being confronted to different cultures. And I would say that to this day, I'm now 44 years of age. I was born in 1980. I feel very ancient. I must say that to this day, this ability of mine to communicate in different languages and to adapt to different cultures is still, I would say, key, even in my day-to-day work, and truly is one of the, I would say, advantages that I can put forward as a professional today. It's helped me so much throughout my career. So, yes, back in the days, I was born and raised a French national on an island. I grew up in Corsica, and my father was in the military. So, long story short, we kept on moving ever so often. And then I graduated very young. And it was complicated back in the days to enter university in France at such a young age. And so I moved to the UK and found myself like a fish in a pond in the United Kingdom. And then the opportunity came to travel to China. Back in the days, China was indeed very popular and was just opening up. Bear in mind that this is way before the 2008 Beijing Olympics. I was actually in
Hmm.
China in the year 2001. And it's definitely been a great decision, and I would do it all over again because being exposed at such a young age to such a different culture truly was eye-opening. And this is where my negotiation skills come from, because to this day, I have not yet met a better negotiator than a Chinaman.
Interesting. Good to know. I mean, I always ask in the end what would be some of your advice or suggestion for young people who are lacking the motivation but would want to work in the boating industry or maybe somewhere else. It doesn't need to be linked to the industry. So, do you think that international networking and exposing yourself to another culture or a very international surrounding, be it either through an internship or an Erasmus project, do you think that's one of the keys how to build a good base for doing business in the future?
I do think so, but I do think also that motivation comes and is being reinforced when you dream. And this is where we are extremely lucky being part of this amazing industry. Our mission statement as a company at Groupe Beneteau is bringing dreams to water. It's what we do for a living. We contribute to the manufacturing, to the design, to the release, to the launching of amazing products. A yacht, a sailing yacht, is timeless and it brings people together and it allows them to spend some amazing time on the water. I call our boats weapons of mass disconnection. When you're on a boat, you no longer need to know what time it is, what day it is. You no longer need to worry about whether there's network on your phone or not. And so this industry truly is amazing, and our boats truly are amazing because they are bringing people together on the water. And yes, bringing dreams to water again is the mission statement. The company has been great at doing it over the past 140 years. And with all humility, I feel very, very proud to contribute to making sure that the journey lasts at least for another 140 years to come.
Amazing. So basically, I also mentioned something similar in the panel discussion on the conference. You need to have a dream, and then the thing which you're working for needs to be at least part of that dream.
For sure, we spend so much time and we put so much heart into what we do, into work. Our colleagues, our staff members, the people we work for, I mean, top management inspires us so much through their vision and their strategies. And it's extremely important because if you dream big at work and you take satisfaction out of your work, then it's no longer, I mean, it's time flies when you're having fun, right? So.
Indeed, time flies when you're having a good time.
15
Uh,
years already at Groupe Beneteau. There you go.
Congratulations, really. And that only says about the inspirational leaders which you have, because if you wouldn't, then it wouldn't be for 15 years and a plus.
Definitely. It definitely wouldn't be the same.
Great. And with this, we're slowly wrapping up today's episode. I really want to thank you for all the insights that you provided us with and for the listeners. So, as per usual, you can follow us on Instagram on WIN_Women in Nautica, and on LinkedIn, it's simply Women in Nautica. Catch us on some of the spring boat shows, email us, and of course, if you love this episode, we appreciate your follow and your rate both on Spotify and LinkedIn. Delphine, thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.
Merci beaucoup, Anna. À bientôt.
À bientôt.
Bye.
Bye.